Okay. Hi, Professor Featherman. This is Gage, and this is my submission for the final project. For my final project, I decided to make a fleet management system. And the idea behind it is when you own a company that uses a lot of fleet vehicles like Cintas, Amazon, FedEx, Boeing, whatever it may be, it can be tough to track maintenance on all of these vehicles you own. So this system is created to uh, help with that. So this will help companies not miss regular maintenance, which can save them money because they'll be a lot less likely to run into mechanical issues with their cars, or they'll spend less money on tires. They'll avoid accidents because they have fresh tires. And it has a lot of benefits like that for the companies. So right here, this is the vehicle page. Let's say I want to add a new vehicle. We're just going to go with a 2025 Ram 1500 base model. You can just type all that in and then say it has only 5,000 miles on it. And then you put in the VIN number. Obviously, you need a unique VIN. So we'll just make one up right here. We're just going to say that and click add vehicle. And then the vehicle will be put in here all the way down at the bottom. And then it also assigns a unique vehicle ID. In this case it's going to be 4010. Come over here and you can add employees too. Say I want to add Sam Darnold to my list of employees. I'll just type in his name. And then I'll say he's assigned to vehicle number 4010. And click add employee. But say I also just want to add an employee, but he doesn't actually have his own company vehicle. I can also do that. We'll just go ahead and add Tyler Lockett. And just punch in him, hit add employee, and he's going to be in there. And you come down to the bottom down here, and here they are. And as you can see, Sam Darnold has his vehicle, but Tyler Lockett does not. And then now if you want to edit the maintenance, there's a whole maintenance page and shows the vehicle ID when they last had their maintenance. And say that Sam Darnold's Ram 1500 has had all of his maintenance done today. You can go and punch that in. And there it is. But then say I actually lied and he hasn't had his maintenance done at all. Well, the car has 5,000 miles on it. So we'll just go and say 5,000 miles since he's had any maintenance done to it. I can go ahead and use this and it will update the system. And look at that. Now it reads that he hasn't had maintenance done in 5,000 miles. And then here's some management reports over here. This one is just says which cars are up next for an oil change. This uses a short procedure that calculates how many miles until the next oil change. I'll come back to the math behind all of this later when I show you the short procedures. I also added in a feature that shows an estimated date for when it's due by. I'll show you all of that later. And then here it is, same thing except for tire changes. And then another one right here for tire rotations. And then this one's a really simple one. It just says which cars had the highest mileage. And as you can see, this 2008 Ram 2500 is pushing 300,000 miles. And these things are really useful because it can show you, oh, okay, I got to watch this vehicle, make sure that my employee takes care of the maintenance on this thing because we're getting really close to needing it. And then this one's useful because you could just figure out, okay, these cars are probably going to have to be replaced soon. So it just really helps track your vehicles. Because, like I said, when you have really anything, I feel like over 10, it can be very difficult to keep track of all the records and information you need for it. Um, yeah. So this is a Ram 2500, so who knows? Probably actually won't need to be replaced, even if it's at 300,000 miles. And come into graphs and see if Power BI wants to load. Yes. This just shows how many miles the cars have and sorted into groups under 50,000 and then in 50,000 mile intervals all the way up to 250,000 plus. Just kind of shows how many miles, well, how your vehicles are doing, like how old a lot of them are, how much they're getting used. And then I don't want to deal with opening SMSS right now because it tends to, virtual desktop tends to crash, but luckily I got screenshots of my short procedures and put them in here. This one's really easy. This is the highest mileage, and it just selects the top 20 vehicles and then orders them by odometer, and then it's go. These ones, they're all pretty much the same thing, but they're a little bit more complicated. Same thing. It just takes the top 20 vehicles, and then it does some math right here. So oil changes happen every 10,000 miles, subtracts current odometer from last oil change, and then figures out, yep, right here, miles until their next oil change. Then what it does is it takes that using that math, and it uses this line right here, 12,000 divided by 365. This is based off of the fact that the average American drives 12,000 miles in a given year. And then it divides how many miles they have until their next oil change by how many miles they'll drive per day. And then it adds that to a date, to today's date. So if a car is due in 100 miles, it'll figure out, okay, well, they drive, I don't know what it is, 3 miles per day. In 30 days, they'll need to get an oil change. And it gets the date and then plugs it in there as the column name estimated oil change. And then it joins it and then sorts it by when their next oil change is due. Same thing right here for tire change, except instead of using 10,000, it uses 40,000 miles because that's about when tires need to be changed. And then same thing with tire rotations, where this one's 7,500 miles because that's about when you have to do a tire rotation. And yeah, I'll get back into the code behind this. See how I'm doing on time. Got 6 minutes left. Okay. I'll try and speed run this. The code was pretty similar to assignment 8. Basically, you're creating new data tables, and then we're going to use them. And then here's all the SQL data adapters. This just clears everything out, so that way you don't have your data getting put in 2-3 times, stacking it up, and before you know it, you have 40 results showing on a thing that should only have 20. Just sorts the data and then binds it. That just pretty much glues it together. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And then here's just all the link buttons, just each link button at the top of the page that was like up here somewhere. Has its own button and then connects them. Here's the add vehicle. This is just for the adding vehicle thing. Yeah, and then I had to use help for this one. I figured, wouldn't it be cool if it said, if you had an error, like, or if it added successfully, it would let you know. So got that. And what this does is it just adds the values for each specific section up here. And then if it works, it will say vehicle added successfully. This just resets it. And then this will say an error if it doesn't work. And then I think I clicked over a section. No, never mind. And then really the same thing for add employee and add maintenance. Just adding data, and then same thing and added successfully, or if it didn't add successfully, it will say so. And then down here, it's the short procedures. This is really huge. I got to make sure you remember that. Just make sure you're clearing everything, because you're going to later on, I don't know where it is. There's a sequence called call whatever, and that'll just refresh it. But if you don't reset the data beforehand, it'll just stack. Here we go, SP6, SP3, SP4, SP5. It just stands for short procedure. They're just blank variables that will be filled in later. With these short procedures that I showed you with the screenshots. And yeah, just fill it in. Here's the blank data tables we made at the top. And then data bind. And yeah, I don't want to take up too much time, but that's my code and my database. Thank you so much. Hope you have a good winter break. And yeah.